Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
And a seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof lining, and a new spoiler, and a new top.
Yep, we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
Good credits, bad credits, it's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OKForsale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OKForsale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. My dog is 14 years old, Robin.
Yes, she
14.
is. She's beautiful.
Which is 90, let's see, what is it again? 90, what is that?
14, that's 98.
98!
Yeah.
She's 98. Like a 98-year-old woman. And yet she doesn't know it. She plays, she like roll on her back, and she jumps off the couch, she wants to go outside.
Yeah.
That's like, wow.
She's great.
I think because she has no clue what her age is. Mm-hmm. See, I think age is just all in the mind. What do you think?
I do too. I think it's
because how old do you feel? I mean, really? Mm-hmm. Do you know when I feel old? When I'm with young people. Do you know when I feel young? When I'm with old people. And when it's just me by myself or with people my own age, then I feel nothing. I feel like 17 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this a little bit. Barbara Fleisher is on the phone. She's a retired professor of education, so she was a teacher of teachers.
Yeah.
She's a journalist, a researcher, the co-creator of the Elder Chicks blog.
Yes.
Which, as an elder man, I appreciate elder chicks. She's a conductor of many workshops for women 60 years old and over, and she's got a book. It's called The New Senior Woman, Reinventing the Years Beyond Midlife. And I'm so glad you're in the studio, Robin. Mm-hmm. This might be an uncomfortable topic for me.
Oh.
Barbara Fleisher, good morning, Barbara. How are you? Up there. Where are you? Where are you calling from? Oh,
nice.
See, my brother lives in Sarasota. Well, it should be on your bucket list. It's easy to do. Just come here and say hi, and you'll be through it in no time. So it was, and you know what? Speaking of elder people and Ocala, the two go together. We have a lot of people who retire here and make this the golden years for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the villages, they have a good time.
Now, do you feel the same way I do, that when you're with people your own age? Rob and I are both 60, by the way. When you're with people your own age, you don't really feel age. It's kind of weird. You only feel it when you're with people who are older or younger. Mm-hmm.
That's clever.
That
I
is
like
funny.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly was to my parents. My senior years are very different from my mother's, certainly, as well as my father's.
In what way?
Well, our expectations are different. I'm healthier. When I say we, I mean all of my friends,
right.
People that I'm surrounded by. We're healthier. We're more involved in the world. We're living longer. We're living better. And this is something, we think of this, of course, as a gift of time, but my parents didn't really expect very much at this point. They were just sort of sitting back and rocking on their chairs and grateful for every extra day, but not expecting much except except to exist.
So let's try and let's see if we can figure out why there is that difference. Do you think technology has made us, I don't know, more aware of what's going on in the world, or do you think it's just the health benefits that we have now, the advancement of medicine? What do you think it is?
I think it's both of those things. I think that the world really did shrink for us. We think of the whole world in a way as our playground. So many more people travel than used to, certainly than in my parents' day and age.
Yeah.
My father immigrated to this country, and he knew when he left he would probably never see his family again. I saw his family. I traveled to where he came from.
Where is he
met
from?
the family. Well, he was from Ukraine.
Oh my goodness, they're going through some hard times right now.
Yeah.
Well, they do. And when my husband and I traveled there, this was quite a bit before any of the problems that are coming. They were still part of the It had broken away from the there were no longer. It was no longer USSR, but there was a Ukraine, and we could visit and did visit. My father never went home. He was not able to. It never occurred to him that he'd be able to go home.
Right.
So that the world has generally gotten much smaller for us, and of course that's due to technology, but it's also due to the fact that we are healthier. When my parents, my parents didn't live to my age. I'm 84. And when they died when they were in their late 70s, both of them, and they were not in the kind of good health that I'm in, and the kind of don't do the traveling that I still do, and aren't involved in all the activities that I'm still involved in.
Are men dropping off early? Like we've always heard that men die first.
Yeah, that's interesting because we did a little bit of research on that, in our book, and that gap is closing now. It's not quite. Yes, women live longer, but the gap is closing a bit, and I guess it's because of all the reasons that everybody's living longer.
The women that you interviewed for the book to relay their stories, did relationships get to the top of the list?
On what? You mean in the success with which they were negotiating these years?
Right. Because sometimes, when a partner dies, then sometimes they would be withdrawn. They wouldn't want to look for another partner or even have a friend that they could travel with and things. So they usually stayed home. But now it seems like society is encouraging people to just get out and live and open up more friendships.
Yes. The thing is that I've noticed, many of the people, we did interview only women, and many of the women were widowed. Not all, of course, but, a fair proportion of them. And, yes, many of them had male friends, or male partners, or remarried, but a lot of women weren't so eager to do that, which was kind of interesting. Many women traveled together, and some women were willing to travel alone, because there seems to be a feeling that they have more freedom, they have more options, more choices.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a man, he's going to anchor you down.
Well, a lot of women felt that way.
Yeah, well, I would feel that way too as a man. Right? I mean, you don't want to be anchored down, but unless you find somebody who's willing to go flying around with you, then it wouldn't be an anchor.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just found this more and more. What we found was that there are many ways to face this time of your life. Where I think in my mother's generation, there were not so many ways. There was one way, and in many European countries, you put on your black widow's weeds, isn't that what they called them?
Yes, for
and
sure.
You wore them, and that was your life for the rest.
Well, because women were pretty much, your whole gender, all women were treated differently in every age, not just in old age.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I hadn't quite thought of it that way, but you're right.
Yeah, but now
And there-
now you're allowed to be a person and live your life, and if you have a desire to go to Europe or to Ocala, you can.
Sure.
That's right.
I love how you use the words for the women that they can have class, dignity, sass, and smarts. I just think that's
yes.
such a great personality trait.
Absolutely, and they are allowed to have that. I remember once being with someone and saying something that was funny, and he looked at me and he said, "Well," and I said, "Well, that's not literal. That was a joke." And he said, "I'm used to making the jokes."
Oh no! Do you know what? I want to tell you something.
Cross him off my list.
I bet you did. That's smart. Good move.
Barbara, I had a job. This is a long time ago now, but I worked as an activities director at an assisted living facility, and the average age of the women was probably 80 plus.
Oh,
Well, and the men too. I guess everybody
Yeah.
was 80 plus, just about.
Yeah.
And Robin was there quite a bit, so the two of us would kind of work as a team on the activities. And I wondered, there was two different types. There was social types with men and women, but there was more women living there. And there was the ones that just wanted to stay in their room. And not that the ones who stayed in their room were unhappy, but once in a while you'd get one. You'd get a widow, a widow especially, a lady who's her whole life has just been turned upside down. Her husband died. Her health has declined. Now she's living in a place. And the biggest challenge for me was to get that woman to see that her life would be better if she would just come out and play. And the misconception she had was that it was all about bingo. She says, "I don't care for bingo." I said, we do more than bingo. We go to the store. We do stuff outside. You can do whatever you want to do. Just tell me, and I can fill the bill."
Well, the other thing is that she could have organized what she liked to do. Maybe she liked book groups. Why didn't she organize one?
Absolutely,
Maybe she liked play readings. Why didn't she organize one? But some people do like to sit back and let life happen to them, rather than go out and
Yeah.
and-
But
and
is your message to try to get to not do that?
Yeah, we saw threads running through the women. We chose to talk about. We interviewed lots of women. Not everybody was such a happy person, and they all had problems. I mean, this didn't mean that life was easy for them. It wasn't. These women had a ton of problems. It's just how they dealt with these problems, the situations, and we did find certain threads among the women who seemed to be navigating this stage in their lives with a lot of success. And among it, we found that these women, many of them, looked at this time as a fork in the road, not the end of the line.
I like that. Barbara Fleisher is our guest. The book is called The New Senior Woman, Reinventing the Years Beyond Midlife. We need to take a little break because we're at the mid-half hour. Get us some...
Already?
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. But we'll take a break, check in on the weather, and we'll be right back. This is WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Today will be rather cloudy. Look for a little rain and a thunderstorm during the afternoon and evening hours. The highs ranging from 68 to 72 across the region. Lingering cloud later tonight and turning cooler low by morning 50 to 54. Tomorrow, any clouds will give way to sunshine. It'll be a breezy day with a high of 64 to 68. And for Wednesday, mostly sunny, the high again 64 to 68. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Hey, it's Christy with Ocala Mac and PC Repair and Ocala Guest Wi-Fi to let you know we have you covered. We are the only local certified Apple and Microsoft computer company in Ocala. We are family owned and operated. From mobile repair to wireless networks, viruses, new systems, or security cameras, we do it all. Check us out online, ocalamacpc.com, or give us a call, 352-566-8324.
Tell them Nick, Madison, or Mason sent you and get free diagnostic.
Get your internet telephone service from the company that brought affordable internet service to Ocala in the first place. All is Safe is a sister company of Ocala Guest Wi-Fi, a company you've known and trusted for all your internet needs. Whether you need a phone or hundreds, we've got the products and services to meet your needs both now and in the future. Our plans include everything from local and long-distance calling to equipment maintenance and even software upgrades. You can count on All is Safe to give you cost certainty knowing that your bill will be the same next week, next month, or even next year. Call 352-450-8647 today to learn how to cut your monthly telephone bill up to 60%.
Hi, my name is Dr. Erica Olstein with A Better You Healthcare Acupuncture and Eastern Medicine. As primary care physicians, we use acupuncture to treat back pain, arthritis, migraines, allergies, high blood pressure, thyroid disorders, hormone imbalances, stress, and more using all natural medical therapies. We treat the source of your problems, not just your symptoms. For more information, go to abetteryouhealthcare.com or call today to set up your appointment, 352-615-5566.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We're having a great conversation with Barbara Fleisher. She's down in Sarasota, and she has written a book called The New Senior Woman, and I think there's a second author on here. I'm going to have to ask Barbara to identify the other author. Thank you, Barbara, for waiting through the break. Who's the other author of the book?
Thelma Reese, who has been a colleague of mine when we were both college professors, and good friends. And she is a we wrote the book together because we had some questions about what are we going to do with our lives, and decided to look around and see what other people were doing.
Really?
And this was really the genesis of the book. We wanted to know, what it was that made some women appear that we knew or met seemed to be happy, seemed to be living solid, productive, constructive lives, fun. Wasn't all work, but it was fun too. And others who seemed to be kind of bitter and depressed and actually angry and complained all the time, and wondered, well, what was the difference between these women? And so after interviewing about 200 of them, we have an idea, as I said, some threads that seem to run through the...
Really?
Yeah.
So do you think that the attitude you have, however, have been part of you all of your life, or did old age somehow bring a wisdom that also made you approach life with more of a philosophical view?
Oh, I think both of those things are true. I think that people who are basically unhappy about everything in their lives aren't going to change. But, we did a lot of preparation for adulthood and really didn't do any preparation for retirement or this last phase in our lives.
That's an interesting thought, yeah.
Yeah, and it just wasn't a part of anything that we did. And I just think that some women, in their wisdom, realize, hey, I've got a lot of time left now. And for whatever time I have left, I'm gonna make the most of it.
Have women pointed to finances as part of why they're happy or why they're unhappy?
Well, that's very interesting because we were expecting it to play a much greater role than it does, than it seemed to among the women that we interviewed. They seemed willing to live with what they had, and had come to grips with that. They, if they're so that was an issue.
Oh, okay.
What was much more evident in our conversations, and they were conversations, we didn't have a list of questions that we asked. We sort of we went where it took us. And hardly ever did it take us to a financial situation. And we interviewed women from all walks of life. We went to senior centers where I'm sure most of the women had been domestic workers much of their lives. They were not wealthy women, and not even, a lot of them were not even in the middle class. And if it was often the lower middle class. That was not true of all the women, but we certainly made sure we had a cross-section. And no, their finances did not come up. It seems that among financially poorer women, their families were more likely to step in and help. Either they lived with them or so that they didn't have room and board. They did what they could, but that did not seem to be the issue with women who were either extremely happy or not happy.
So tell me about men. What happens to us? I mean, do we ever figure you out, or are we stupid all the way to the end?
Well, we thought about. People have often asked us, "Well, what about men? Why don't you interview us?"
No, I don't mean to interview them. I mean, I want to know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not going to step into that maelstrom. No pun intended there.
How do you get the woman to really come out of her shell, though, to really realize there's still life and there's still things to do? Because sometimes they're just scared.
Absolutely. There are plenty of scared women. We did not report them in our book. Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
We tried to find out why the women who were successful. When I say successful, I mean happy.
Yeah,
More happy than unhappy.
Do you know, I had an aunt, and when she got in her older years, she just decided she wanted to visit all these cathedrals. She had it in her mind. She was familiar with St. Patrick's in New York, but she didn't see the other ones in the world, and that's what she went on a mission, to see all these cathedrals. And it became her driving force, is what I'm getting at there.
Well, it sounds wonderful. I mean, look what she did in the process of seeing all that. Look at all the traveling, look how she broadened her perspective. This is a wonderful idea.
So maybe that's what we all need. Maybe we just need some kind of a purpose for living, regardless of how old we are, right?
Well, that was the second thread that we identified. Women who ask, what can I do that has purpose and meaning? And that we're proactive about this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially when there's children, when you have children and you get older, and then your children have children, and they're all older already. I mean, the older you get, the older your children are.
Right.
And once you have children when you're younger, they become your entire life in most healthy families.
Right. Right.
And then all of a sudden that goes away and they have their own families and you feel almost like left out.
That's right. In fact, we have a whole chapter on that. How your relationship with your adult children. And it changes. It definitely changes. And if it doesn't change, I think that spells trouble.
And being part of a group is really helpful, because here in our area, we've got the Appleton Museum. They will arrange trips for people. You don't have to have a partner. You can, come by yourself. You have church groups people can belong to, things like that. But you do have to take that step to join.
You absolutely do. You have to be very proactive. And also, the women who were successful were also proactive about volunteering. And these were not all mobile women. Mm-hmm. There were some in wheelchairs who could do things at home. There were people on walkers and canes, but it didn't stop them.
Has the book been out long enough that you've had some feedback from some of your readers who literally changed what they were doing so they could be happier based on what the book says?
Well, I don't know. We certainly have had women who have given us a lot of positive feedback about the book. We don't tell people what to do. This is not a how-to book. What we do is write the interviews up so that these are examples of how women have faced particular situations. And they would tell us, what these situations were and how they handled them in their own lives. So this is really a book of examples. Of course, we comment. We do editorialize.
Yeah.
But it is their stories. And you can see that, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Well,
Barbara, Barbara, how do we get the book? Do you have a website?
I do. We do. It's www.thenewseniorwoman.com.
Thenewseniorwoman.com. And elderchicks.com, that's the other one? Elder Chicks?
Well, the other one is a blog, and we would welcome anybody to be on that blog. It has a reach around the world, and that is elderchicks.com.
Okay. And the book again, The New Senior Woman, Barbara M. Fleisher. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to.
It was a fun.
I've enjoyed it very much.
Me too. All right, we will take a little break and be right back. This is WOCA Ocala. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Gay couples in Alabama lining up to get married. The Supreme Court has denied the state's request to extend a hold on a